be arriving. Welcome back, everyone. Trying to fix this fucking camera. There we go. That's better. Welcome back to another episode. I'll adjust the music. This evening, thought I'd talk about crazy schizo shit because why not? Why not? So I'm gonna go over. I was watching some shit today. Brought me back some Jesse Ventura episodes from years ago. He had this show called like Conspiracy something. Alex Jones was on it. It was a huge fucking meme. I thought it was funny as shit. So I was watching some of that, and I saw a clip on Twitter actually that was kind of sus actually, but a little bit of a prediction there. I'll cover that here in a second, but I thought I'd go back because David Icke was in that episode, and I periodically love memeing on David Icke because he's such a meme. So I thought I'd go over some stuff with him. There's some other articles I thought that kind of tie into his whole narrative I thought was interesting. So, and then afterwards, maybe I've been wanting to watch through some like Ancient Aliens clips. I think there's new episodes out. I haven't fucking watched them. So I've been desperately wanting to do that. I just haven't. So maybe later we can do that because I do love Ancient Aliens. It's another meme. So what kind of schizo shit? Yeah, I'm not gonna get too deep because that's me and Mr. Galen TV's specialty. But just welcome everyone. HFX Pans Rabbit, DM Late Galen. Yeah, and for people watching these VODs, please consider giving me a follow. I'm trying to get to 1,000 followers, trying to grow this bitch. Almost there, not quite, but slowly cooming. So without further ado, let's start to kind of get into some of this stuff here. Oh, this was good. This was a good quote. I don't know who this guy is, but he is I'm just going to adjust the music slightly. There we go. An author, I guess, wrote, "Rise of the New World Order, the Culling of Man." And he's speaking here about how I guess I do know some of the background on this. I don't know him personally. I wasn't really too familiar with his work until I read this quote. But speaking about how they're going to depopulate the world. That's his whole meme, I guess. He says it'll be an illusion. An illusion it will be, so large, so vast, it will escape their perception. Those who will see it will be thought of as insane. Quite epic. Epic words. Epic times. Epic words for epic times. Anyway, I thought that was kind of meme to go over. What do I got lined up here? Oh, this. Yeah, this is nice. Before I start getting into some of the schizo stuff here. Fuck, man. I feel like I have to cover this because I live in Canada, and this guy's such an idiot. And yeah, secret recordings. Liberal senator pledging to shield individuals who are supported by communist China. Anybody else sick to death of these traitors? Fuck, man. Like, they're all just, like, compromised. Like, just very, very, very disconcerting, and just another reason for this guy to, like, go the fuck home. Please, God. I covered, for people that may not have caught the show last night, the clips up there, and I was talking about the UBI in Canada. It's trending, buddy. Oh my dog has like 10 fucking balls now, and they all squeak. Anyway, the UBI is trending because it's supposedly about to go to the Senate here in Canada, and people were doing the math about what the fuck they want to give everybody over 17 $2,000 a month. And you do the math on that. I think someone did the math potentially, and it was like $500 billion coming up to $1 trillion. I think $500 billion was with $1,500 a month. If it was 2,000, it would be like $1 trillion a year. Sorry. So I just like, there's no way these people are this stupid, are they? I mean, never underestimate them, though. That's the thing. Anyway. Yeah. So, this is another clip I saw floating around. I was going to cover, where is it here? I want to be careful of this because there's a lot of stuff. This is a weird song. It's like almost out of key or something. There's a lot of stuff on Twitter about like, you know, and like obviously people are anti-illegal immigration. But what happens, I think, is people go and swing from one end of the spectrum to the other. And then they start yelling at like an immigrant family, right? Like eating their food at Tim Hortons, being like, get out of our country. And the guy's like, well, why are you talking about? Like, I immigrated here legally. I'm a doctor. So like, I just, you know, because I've been seeing that, a lot of hate towards people who are immigrating here. And that's not okay, but there is a balance. And I think there definitely needs to be a conversation had when people are coming over that they understand and respect Western values. And that maybe is something that needs to happen at some point. But anyway, fuck, you know. So I thought I'd play this little clip here. This isn't necessarily related to that, but.
And may I remind you of the Dutch farmers' protests? As you know, I was very much involved in that. And those brave farmers who objected to the state's plans to just rob them of their land, also they were met with extreme police violence. They even shot at a 16-year-old boy that was driving away from a completely peaceful protest. They missed his head by 1
HFX
inch.
Pins with the gifted subs, God bless.
Please allow me, as a European woman who is
Oh,
not
there you
even
go. It's a
legally
special.
allowed to carry
Feel
pepper
free, everyone.
spray, to tell you,
God bless.
hang on to that Second Amendment of yours for dear life.
Hell yeah, appreciate it. Respect. Absolutely.
And
interesting. She's like a Nord from Skyrim. Very, very cool. Why doesn't that have my alien dance thing? Fucking Stream Elements. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. It should be an alien dancing and then David Childress comes on. But anyway, I'm probably going to get sued by David Childress at some point for using his likeness or his voice. But yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Fuck yeah. Subtrain. Post Christmas gift. Yeah. Greatly appreciated of HFX Pins. Keeps the lights on here. This is another this is one where it is a little bit strange, I have to say. I don't know if I really want to watch it, honestly. But essentially, the Welsh government is using 14-year-old girls to attract men coming from these other countries. This is not fake. This is actually real. And, you know, okay, I don't even want to get into this talk on fucking Twitch because it's so polarized. But, you know, some of these places people are coming from have a much more liberal age gap in between how old you can marry. How can I say this? You could just say here it would be recognized absolutely as pedophilia, where there are women coming over who are 12, 14, 15 years old, and they're married to like 40 plus year old men. And I guess here in Canada, that's okay because it's like respecting their religious practices, but I don't fucking give a shit about that personally. I just think it's fucked. So anyway, but then it's like, again, not everybody coming from different countries are pedophile. And it's like this fine line with this stuff. You just have to walk. But there are instances of this. And anyway, this is something that was trending 5.7 million views in one day. So pretty popular on Twitter. Yeah, it just yeah. I did hear I'm from Africa and we are not pedos, seriously. But again, people kind of misconstruing things. Again, it just gets so fancy so fucking quickly. But anyway, I thought I'm not going to watch the fucking whole video here, but essentially I think it's just people kind of being a little bit dumb, maybe. You know, anyway, controversy. Speaking of controversy, this is an older video. These motherfuckers repost this shit, but I thought I would cover it. simply because I think it's older. I think this was it like a little while ago. But this is...
The digital euro is on the move.
Well, she'll tell you
Yesterday, the Governing Council of the ECB approved the opening of the preparation phase. It will be a journey, and we will walk the journey together with the legislator. All European institutions will be involved to make sure that Europe is equipped with the currency of the future. Cash is here to stay. You will have all options, cash and digital cash. So what does it mean for you? For consumers, it would be free and easy to use everywhere in the euro area. All of that, of course, is subject to the legislative process. Cash or digital, the choice will be yours.
Interesting. The choice will be yours, except in the event of another viral catastrophe, when cash will then not be allowed and you'll only be left with the digital euro. And then that will go on indefinitely. So then you're just going to have the digital euro. But it's okay because initially we told you can have cash, right? Oh my God. God bless you guys. The hype train incoming. Oh my God. You see that blasting off? You'll have a limited time to earn exclusive emotes. There you go. That's new. I'm not familiar with that. Look at this power couple. Keeping the lights on here. God bless you guys. That was a Prime sub though. But it's still appreciated. Yes. This is new. Hype train. Maybe this is something that I've recently qualified for. I have no idea. Interesting. Absolutely interesting. Something else that's fucked. Before we go like straight fucked here in a second. This clip. So I saw this. Now, I should stipulate that she is referencing swine flu here as the first phase. This is like in 2009. There you go. It's right in front of me. So, but makes you wonder anyone who would have predicted this 14 years ago. There's another part to this I'll explain after the fact. So I'll just play this little clip here.
Very short time, not today, not tomorrow, but very soon, we'll be facing compulsory vaccination under the mistaken term of voluntary vaccination. But the U.S. government has a trick up their sleeve.
Which is?
They will induce a pandemic. You're going to get the flu. Everybody around us is going to get the flu.
If people start dying massively from these inoculations, won't there be like a revolution, a rebellion, a rising up from the peasants?
Very short time, not today, not tomorrow, but very soon, we'll be facing compulsory vaccination.
Oh, anyway, that is a little bit taken into context. She was kind of referencing the start of that with the swine flu thing, but I thought it was just kind of fucking trippy. It was interesting that she is a doctor who fled the United States, and she was fairly accredited and had worked with some high-level people. And one of them was a female head of state, which is interesting, supposedly in this clip. And this female head of state back in 2003 told her that at some point in the near future, a culling would begin of the useless feeders. I was like, fuck, that's a head trip. And she asked, like, what do you mean? And she said, well, we're going to have to start to mill the population down. There's too many people. And we're the aristocratic class, and we're the ones that are sailing the ship of state here. So we're going to stay afloat, and we're going to fucking sink everybody else's ship, essentially. And I just thought it was kind of fucking, strange. I posted, here's the full episode here. I posted it in the Discord, and you can watch through it. The whole thing is a fucking meme. They got Alex Jones, they got David Icke, they got this woman, and they got a couple other fucking guys all in one episode. Like, it's full blown just out there. But very interesting. Huh? No. But anyway, that's that for all that shit. Here's like the actual interesting stuff. So I haven't watched this yet, but I saw this and I was like, what the hell? George Machinier got drunk and was blabbing about aliens being real. This person also just saw this. They've done zero vetting on it. I'm curious what this is.
And now I'm a professional. I'm in my early 30s. I'm doing political films. It's part of my job. And one of the films I'm doing is interviewing George Bush when he is running for vice president with Ronald Reagan on an airplane. I'm not the interviewer, I'm the director. I set up the scene, they're on the airplane. George Bush is drinking like crazy, and the sound man is in the back with me, and there's a wireless mic on George Bush. And George Bush is talking to the interviewer, and the cameraman is getting ready. He hasn't started shooting yet. And all of a sudden, my sound man sitting next to me in the seat goes, "Whoa!" And he turns off the sound, stops recording, stops listening. "David, what I just heard freaked me out." "What'd you hear?" His name was Nigel. "What'd you hear, Nigel?" Nigel said, "I heard George Bush say, 'Hey, you know those little green people? They're real. I saw one dead.'" Could George Bush have seen a dead alien? You know, I think so. That's what he said to the sound man. Not on tape, unfortunately. Sound man is just listening, but the sound man and I never forgot it.
Wow. That's interesting. Wow. I received a level 1 hype train emote. This is interesting, Twitch. God bless. Share. There it is. Wow. Interesting. I think of Drunk Nixon showing you celebrities UFOs. Yeah. Very intriguing. This is there's a lot of this in ufology. A lot of hearsay. Like endless amounts. And it's interesting. It does wear thin after a while, I will say. But it definitely paints maybe this broader picture, you know, kind of upon which guys like this are building. So, what is it? Choo hype cute. It's a old Game Boy. Interesting. Oh, so this is a repost here of something here, but this was back when the Soul Foundation had their little thing go on there. So this was I don't know if I saw this actually. With a short but very poignant presentation by David Garashi, who joined via Zoom. His comments verbatim were, "Imagine a future where we no longer need to speculate about our place in the cosmos. The release of info on NHI has potential to unite humanity, regardless of the ontological shock that would ensue. Disclosure will involve the releasing of info in a controlled and planned manner. This is a new era of spiritual awakening." Interesting choice of words there. We are in a paradigm shift with the power in our hands to transform our world. We are working towards a more enlightened and interconnected world. And that's very powerful, you know? And maybe there is something more behind the scenes here that he's aware of. Maybe there is something spiritual and wooey about all this. Very, very interesting. Very interesting, his comments. But this is something I wanted to cover here because I didn't get a chance to watch this. But Tucker, here's the full interview here. How long is the full interview? I think it's quite a while. But I've seen these guys a couple times. This thing here, 32 minutes. So this clip is something again that he did this while I was kind of away. But there are things about this that are really disturbing. He said that a couple times to a couple different people. I'm curious as to like what they mean by this. Oh, certainly, Rabbit, I can. There we go. Is that better there? Let me turn this up. It might be there. It might be as low as it goes. Possibly. I can turn this up slightly though. Let's watch this here.
Transparency. And you made a comment very recently, which has gotten a lot of attention in the UFO world, that you've learned things that have made you afraid. And I've seen, there's been a lot of I think right-minded skepticism, not even just from people who are more establishment-minded, others who are like, well, if the government is quote unquote acknowledging UFOs, then that's how I know that it's not real. So you seem to be a believer. You've spoken with Dave Grush. I've met him as well. He seems like a very he at the very least, I don't think he's lying to me whenever I was spoken to him. So what gives you assurance that what you're hearing, what you have come to believe is not a government psyop, so to speak?
Well, everything's a government psyop, including UFOs, but that doesn't mean that there aren't UFOs. And I think I know the comment you're referring to is on Clayton Morris's, an old friend of mine called Clayton Morris's podcast, a great guy, really interested in this topic. And I said that there are things that I don't want to talk about, and I, as usual, didn't fully explain myself. If I had, verifiable facts about this phenomenon, I would immediately put them on the air, because I'm committed to that completely, because my whole life is about that. So I should have said more clearly, I can't be certain. This is just what I believe based on, talking to an awful lot of people about this, some of whom I trust a lot, some of whom I trust sort of. I mean, you're trying to piece it together from lots of different places, but no, these are my views, okay? They can't be proven, but I think they're informed views. The phenomenon is real. It's been recorded for thousands of years. We know that. There's something buzzing around us in the skies, but also under the oceans, we now know, and probably underground as well. So it's real. The government's lied about it a million different ways, probably for a million different reasons, for at least 80 years. That's also confirmed. They're lying about it now. Who knows what their motives are? And they're also trying to keep a lot of the stuff from being disclosed. That's true.
Yes.
So to those people, it's like, it's a psyop. Well, yeah, everything's a psyop, but I know for a dead certain fact, and it's provable, that, say, Mitch McConnell and Speaker Johnson and people and a couple committee chairmen who should all know better, are trying to prevent the UAP Disclosure Act of 2023 from taking effect in a meaningful way. So they are trying to hide it still. That's a fact. My own view is that these are not aliens. There's no evidence that they've come from somewhere else. We would probably know. We've got a lot of technology that's watching what comes in and out of the atmosphere, and there's no evidence of that. I think they've been here forever.
Well, but just to kind of push back on that a little bit, maybe. A lot of the information that he's concluded and that he now has kind of built his beliefs upon is anecdotal evidence. And if we're getting into anecdotal evidence, we can get into things like abduction phenomena, other strange encounters that people have had with these beings, visitors, etc. And when you look at all of that, it unequivocally points to these beings being from somewhere other than Earth, from other star systems. That's the TLDR on the whole thing, essentially. So I don't think that's quite correct. Again, the information he's heard so far hasn't gotten into that, but the information he's heard has been anecdotal stuff from some accredited people. But as we're going to get into here in a moment, there are some very accredited people that have dug into some of these more fantastical wooey claims that kind of, I don't know, all of it together definitely paints the picture that what we're dealing with are visitors from other star systems. They're more advanced than us. So anyway. This is my view. Again, it can't be proven, but I'm just telling you, after a lot of conversations, I think it's likely that the U.S. government has had contact with these, direct contact, and over a period of years. I find that really disturbing, because. So that's interesting, in that I think I followed Tucker off and on for a long time. Way back, oh my God, I would have been like fucking 15 when I started to kind of get into politics a little bit for a short time. 16 when he was debating Jon Stewart on religion. And Jon Stewart was just wiping the floor with him. But anyway, he never struck me as a guy who would get into this kind of topic. And it's interesting that he says that, because there are probably lots of things that people like David Grush and co. have said to people. They probably are aware of some stuff. I don't know how freely they can talk about this shit, but maybe there's some things that they're going to just tell people in confidence. And some of these things in confidence have started to bleed out through some of these other people's opinions that they've rubbed up against. So reading between the lines a little bit here, but interesting, because that is in ufology a thing, which is called the Greada Treaty. I think it was Eisenhower, correct me if I'm wrong, anyone, that was involved potentially with meeting some of these visitors back in the day, and a treaty was signed. This is like a rumor in ufology. And there's all kinds of different interpretations on what was signed off. One was that it allowed the visitors to abduct people in exchange for crafts and whatnot. And if that actually happened, that's a pretty big mind fuck for a lot of people, myself included, who has for a very long time digested all of this stuff, all the wackiest, craziest versions of this shit. That's still a bit of a mind fuck, really, because that just means that the government has really had much more detailed information than probably many people thought they had. And that could start to blend into and lend to some people's accounts, like maybe Bob Lazar's, where they gave these, people at S4, these scientists, this government Bible to work off of. And this government Bible had all kinds of crazy shit from the government having conversations with aliens, like spiritual woo-woo stuff, like that they helped Jesus and probably Muhammad Buddha incarnate here on their journey. And it's you can imagine back in whenever the fuck the Great Treaty would have been signed. When was Eisenhower? I think it's in the 50s, right? Eisenhower president. Can I spell? Let's see. Yes, 53 to 61. So it would have been the mid 50s. You talk to a bunch of aliens and they tell you all about reincarnation and fucking that Jesus prophet was a guy they helped out, maybe one of theirs, and that they were the Star of Bethlehem. Like you'd be the government thinking like, what the fuck have we gotten ourselves into? Like, who are these guys? Like, what are they saying? Like, what do you even mean? Like, anyway. Just interesting,
and a bunch of other things that are highly distressing that I can't prove, and so I'm certainly not going to throw them out there. But I'll tell you this: I've talked to a lot of people about this, not because I've never been interested in UFOs until like 5 years ago, and I was like, wait, this is real. What is this? Why aren't we talking about this? I'm just like coming at it from a totally idiotic, I don't know anything, curious position, which is my normal posture on everything. And so I've talked to a lot of people, and my view is that this is my opinion, that there are things about this that are really disturbing. And while I hate any kind of government secrecy, and if I could prove any of this, I would say it immediately, consequences be damned, I do sort of understand why they don't want to let this stuff out. It's not about, we've got fragments of one of these crafts at a Lockheed, facility in California, and we have biologics from the craft. Everyone knows that that's likely true. Well, it's certainly true that they have the, pieces of this stuff.
Yep.
But I think it's likely that it's darker than that, and that the U.S. government is, I say the U.S. government, people in the U.S. government, not the U.S. government, but
And it's not for certain yet, for us at least, strongly implied. Again, the odds here are in favor of it being real. I would say, if you were a betting person, if I were a betting man, I would bet that it's real at this point. But we don't know for certain. That's the other issue.
No, there are parts. It's the largest human organization in history. Parts of it, have knowledge that is very, very disturbing. And I personally strongly think, that there's a spiritual component to this that I don't understand and will not pretend to understand. But I think it's very clear that there's a spiritual component to this. That's one of the reasons the Vatican, and I'm not Catholic, but has been involved in this for over 100 years, has an observatory, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, it's
they do, Tucker,
obvious that these are not men from Mars. And I think that was a psyop, because I think the truth is a little bit wilder and has deeper implications just than.
There could be men from Mars. There could be men on Mars that are men that aren't from Earth. How strange does the story get, Tucker? What about space Jesus? See, Tucker has yet to really digest and swallow this pill. He hasn't had the big daddy yet. He hasn't gone to fucking full-blown Ashtar fucking command. He hasn't gone to Ashtar command yet. Once you get to Ashtar command, that's when you get the fuck just out. Like, you just lose all contact with reality. Ashtar command, the event. Where is he? Oh, here it is here. Ashtar command. Oh, fuck me. This was the broadcast in the UK of some guy who had an English accent, coincidentally, talking to people that he was from the Ashtar command and that he was one of these enlightened beings. The Pleiadians, these are the Pleiadians for people that aren't like acquainted with this shit. The Pleiadians, the Galactic Federation of Light. I'd recommend Tucker just go on Google Images one day and just watch a couple Alex Collier videos. Just get into it. The Mantis people there. You get the Greys. You get the whole fam damly right there. There they are. Looking very pretty. This is when you start to just lose control. You start to take your hands off the fucking steering wheel a little bit. And you say, you know what? Maybe Trump is working with them. Maybe Trump is a warrior of light. Maybe these high-level beings are helping him fight the swamp that is the deep state. That, or maybe everybody associated with this stuff is completely out to fucking lunch and is somewhat polluting ufology. I wonder about that, but I dare not say that. Anyway, yeah, fuck, man. I would just get. This is what would happen. I would get home. I would go on my laptop and I would just look, and then this is all I would do. I would just get lost in like these pictures, and be like, what the fuck? Like, I'm a space alien in the galactic. It's really WSJ 42% off. The fuck. Anyway, yeah, we got to get off here right now before I get lost again in this. Reminds me of that robot that can put their arms back on, but I can't, so play safe. Oh my heavens. Yeah. Anyway, yeah. Some consider Carlson himself really disturbing. That's very nice. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, again, he seems he's very convicted where he's like, well, we know for sure. He's like, well, no, we don't necessarily. I mean, I think, again, it's like there's enough out there there's enough out there to definitely kind of lend us in that direction that this is more than likely going on. But I guess that was Ashtar. Let's see. But yeah, I don't know if I'm careful to speak with too much conviction. Oh, was it actually? Okay. I'm Ashtar Robot. Oh, Astar. Planet Danger. Oh, really? Have you heard the Ashtar command thing, did you? Just a second. Am I not confusing this, am I? Oh, fuck. Here, hold on. Ashtar command original transmission. Fuck's sakes. How is that not broadcast hijacked by an alien? 10 shocking events in British TV. Yeah, that was definitely one of them. Oh, sorry, Vrillon. Here we go right here. This is it. We get French subs for our French friends. Oh yeah.
The Rhodesian nationalist leader, Bishop Abel Muzorewa, has accepted Mr. Smith's offer to negotiate an internal settlement based on one man, one vote. But, he says, there are conditions. These include stopping the execution of all captured prisoners of war, allowing European states in negotiations.
So people saw this happen on their TVs. Like a bunch of fucking people. I think thousands of people, maybe. Can you imagine sitting at dinner with your family?
This is the voice of Allah, representative of the Ashtar Galactic Command, speaking to you. For many years you have seen us as lights in the stars. We speak to you now, to send wisdom as we have done to your brothers and sisters all over this, your planet Earth. We come to warn you of the destiny of your race and your world, so that you may communicate to your fellow beings the course you must take to avoid the disaster which threatens your world.
Hold on, I wonder if there must be a, just a second, an English translation, because I want to read what he's saying exactly. Frillon, There we go. Here we go. Man, what the fuck? Isn't that weird? Like, YouTube's fucked. Like, why isn't that the first thing? Okay, it's only this weird translation.
The Rhodesian nationalist leader, Bishop Abel Muzorewa.
The new age will be a time of great peace and liberation in all ranks, but only the rulers are made aware.
Anyway, I think we get the point here. Anyway, this goes on and on and on and on and on. Anyway, they go back to the regular scheduled broadcast. So the same year the WoW signal took place, it would be interesting to know which one took place first. 100% real. I heard it live. I was 14 years old. Why only in England? No idea. I just have to wait till I can ask a member of the Galactic Federation. There you go. That's it right there. I wonder how many people that converted. I mean, that whole thing. I mean, the voice in the start is Andrew Gardner reading the ITT News. The event took place at 5 p.m. on Saturday, the 26th of November, 1977. The person in shot is Cliff Mitchellmore, who's shown presenting the Southern Television regional news program Day by Day. Cliff Micklemore didn't present this program until about 1980, which was broadcast weekdays only at 6 p.m. 3 reasons why the video is not genuine. Oh, that's interesting. This is a reenactment of the event. Okay. All right, well, there you go. That's pretty good digging there that he was able to go through and realize that, no, sorry, that show didn't play till 1980. But interesting. Yeah, it was a real event. Let's see here. The real event was done by exploiting the specific vulnerabilities of the Huntington TV transmitter. The alien's voice was identified by Tommy Trelawney as the pirate radio aficionado Bob Tomalski. The video was a reenactment since the voice and announcer don't match. Yeah. The on-screen announcer didn't start at the station until 1980 in the program shown. Yeah. Oh, there you go. It was vulnerable because it rebroadcast a signal from TV transmitter at Rowridge. Broadcast engineers had been asked how this was done. Okay. All this technical shit. Case closed. It is, yeah, it's one of those ones where it's like, it'd be really fun if it was real, but like, yeah, it takes place in the UK. Guy with the fucking English accent comes on saying he's Vrillon from the Ashtar Command. It's like, all right, why does he have the English fucking accent? Anyway, but the whole Galactic Federation of Light meme is like still alive and kicking. Like that one is something that cropped up at a Billy Meyer actually, who was a contactee. So he was someone who supposedly had conscious contact with Pleiadian aliens, and then he started a cult. So there you go. That's how you do it, though. I mean, if you really want to go big fucking dong with it, that's what you do. Oh right, I opened that up. Moving on to other things. Now that we're down the rabbit hole with all this fucking shit, why are aliens creating human-alien hybrids to live among us? Starseeds and channelers. Yay, our species is being upgraded. Me and David Jacobs. Have you ever been dropped on your head by chance? We'll find out. The fucking cuts to this guy just in this like futuristic landscape. He's just probably stoned off his fucking balls here. Oh my, that's not very nice. Fuck. Maybe. Hubrid. Why is the fucking guy who's interviewing him look so goddamn nervous? Like, I think he's legit tripping balls. Like, no joke. Like, no cap. How does he fucking know this? Yeah, I know. That's what it looks like, man. The edible's kicking in. Fuck. Yeah. Right. I'm 100% gonna watch the rest of that fucking interview in my own time. 100%. I'm gonna sit through that whole thing. How fucking long is it? It's probably stupidly long. It's an hour. Yeah, that'll do. That'll probably be enough. Jesus Christ. I have no idea. No, I don't even fucking know. David Jacobs. I recognize his name. I don't know what he's talking. He's talking about like alien human hybrids living among us, and that they're like bringing them around to their apartment and stuff and teaching them how to open up canned food and use forks. Like, are these people like on government benefits and shit? Like, are they not fucking paying taxes and taking our goddamn money? Like, David. Anyway. Oh, this just gets fuck. I do love this side of it though. As much as sometimes I think about it, it just makes me angry. It's just David Jacobs is awesome. He was the most methodical in his research from all the authors I've read so far. Oh, I don't want to watch Jeremy. Jesus Christ. Anyway, he's John Mack on acid. Is he? Fuck yeah. That's who I was just about to talk about, actually, Finn. Talk about next. That's not him. David Jacobs, UFO. Here we go. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, he's been on Ancient Aliens and shit. Oh, yeah. He is a retired associate professor of history. There you go. Interesting. Got his PhD from Wisconsin, Madison. Interested in the field of intellectual history. Wrote his dissertation on the controversy over UFOs in America. Oh my God. Another fucking UFO PhD. It's like Bill Burns here. It's Bill Burns, right? Bill Burns, UFO. Is Bill still alive? Holy fuck, he is still alive. Bill Byrnes, sorry. Yeah, close enough. William J. Byrnes, yeah. This guy here. He also has his PhD. He did it in ufology, essentially. This guy always wears the glasses. I think he has like cataracts or some shit. He made, back in the day, he used to be like on all the fucking UFO shows. Like A&E used to have run UFO shows. He was on like three different UFO shows back to back in the day. Like, just, he was hard into it. He just kind of like fell off the earth. I don't know what happened to him. I guess he's almost 80 years old now. But he was like the UFO guy. So UFO hunter. Interesting. That's hot. But yeah, I'll move over to this. So this is another one I fucking saw. I think I may have touched on this, but UFO crash retrieval week. That means we should discuss the Aztec, New Mexico, 1948 UFO crash. And to quote Corso, who sometimes is not the best source on this kind of stuff, we didn't do enough with the bodies. Same goes for Aztec. This is Silas Newton, who together with Frank Scully broke the Aztec story 2 years after it took place. Describes the non-human biologics that were found in the crash. 34 ET bodies. I mean, that was a fucking mess. Like, that would have been a goddamn mess. 34 bodies strewn out over it. Like, man, that's so many fucking A's. See, this guy's got like his leg there, just like, Jesus Christ. You think, like, would they be able to cover that up though? Like, Roswell, you could see like one, maybe two crafts blow up on, they just blow up, like, not everything's vaporized, but like 34 fucking alien bodies just out in the desert, like strewn over the whole. Like, how the fuck are they gonna clean that up? Maybe it was just in the middle of fucking nowhere. We went to the site, Aztec, New Mexico, though, and like, it's a little town. Like, this guy. I guess you can see the guy. They're looking through the porthole here, and to see this guy knocked himself out on the fucking control panel. Bill Burns wrote the day after Roswell and apparently added a bunch of stuff that, of course, there was permission. Oh, was he the guy who wrote the day after Roswell? Was he actually? The day... Fuck. I need to brush up on my... Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, it is. Right. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, he's been involved in the sphere for a long time. So... Interesting. I don't know what he did his dissertation on. Something to do with this. I mean, it's one of those things. It's like, just because you have a PhD doesn't necessarily mean a whole lot. It just means you've specialized in something. But anyway, fuck. Right. Okay. Yeah. Right. Jesus Christ. Yeah. 1997. I thought I'd play this little clip here of this.
As a matter of fact, it was broken. You and I would assume it was made out of glass.
This is Silas Newton's 1950 lecture at University of Denver.
And that porthole was broken out. And there were 16 people inside that cabin. They were charred about the color of Doctor's coat here. They were people that were about this height. There was no indication, and there has not been found one single medical fact to give the idea that they could have been midgets. They were normal people. Judging their ages by our standards of age, they appeared to be 35 to 40 years old. I happened to be at the dentist this morning, and I reminded him that there wasn't a single solitary bad tooth in any of their mouths. Not a filling of any kind.
How did he come
Every
back?
tooth perfectly normal. And they had a situation which might interest you young gentlemen. These gentlemen didn't have to shave. They had what we call a little peach fuzz on their faces. They all wore the same kind of uniform. And these people, none of them, had any insignia of any kind on their collars or on their little caps. So we had no way of identifying whether anyone had a rank different from the other. And the great misfortune, or the good fortune, because had it not been for the fact that they were dead, the ship probably would never have landed.
Interesting. I mean, he's fucking yoked. Look at that shit. Like, what are they eating up there? God damn it. Get on that fucking alien diet. God damn. The Zeta Reticulan fucking bass or whatever. People that aren't familiar with that reference, abductees, supposedly, they see these little grays. There's lots of stories. They'll see them like bobbing face down in like bass of like liquid. And like that's what people think they absorb the liquid through their skin or some shit. They're like plants. I don't fucking know. But whatever it is, it's working if that's how jacked they are. I don't know how he was able to determine that they looked like 35 to 40. This alien fucking race. He's like, yes, just looking at them, I'd say 35, 40 years old. It's like, bro, like, how the fuck did you come to that conclusion? Like, I guess from his teeth. They looked in their teeth, and he said their teeth aren't like too ruined. It's like, man, they could be like fucking 10,000. Like, I guess relatively aged, maybe he was trying to say. There weren't too many wrinkles. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It's definitely interesting. Yeah. Very, very interesting. Yeah. Where are these beings from? We don't know, Dave the Wave. That's the thing. Well, in this instance, we didn't know. A hard time. 34 fucking bodies, though. Like, what in the hell? I don't think I remember that detail from the story. That seems like a bit much, personally. Like, that's a whole fucking ET village strewn throughout fucking the desert in New Mexico. Like, that's a goddamn ET catastrophe. Like, fuck. John Mack. I love covering John Mack. Such a good guy. People argue towards the end of his life went a bit banana balls, went off the rails a bit. Maybe not. Who knows? John Mack, 1929 to 2004, is one of the most misunderstood and, in my view, noblest intellectuals of the late 20th century. He never said alien abductions were real. He said that according to the protocols of a trauma specialist, the experiencers whom he studied were truthful. Pretty powerful. So, you know, I wouldn't disagree with that statement, honestly, if this all turns out to be true. That he would objectively be one of the most important intellectuals, especially if this whole phenomena is related to, actually the abduction phenomena is related to ufology. Like, this is something that they were actually doing the entire time. He pierced through the veil, right? He was one of the wisest, right? In his field, but also just generally is a very accredited intellectual. At a time, too, in the late 80s and early 90s when the stigma was still very strong. So, and that if critics wanted a different answer, they could use the tools of a different field. I have no basis for concluding as yet that anything other than what experiences say happened to them actually did. Mac wrote in 1994, in Abduction. That year, when I was an editor at Simon & Schuster, a reporter from a political mag called looking for dirt on how a respected publisher could issue Mac's book. I had no hand in the book, and I wouldn't cooperate in such prejudicial suppositions the journalist put to me. Indeed, Mac suffered greater professional and personal calamity, or whatever, that most of us will ever understand. Which he weathered with poise and determination. His efforts, whatever they may contribute to the UFO thesis, buttress other academics in other fields who meaningfully violate topical norms. That's a lot of big words, Mitch, all thrown together there. But that's, I mean, good. You know, good post highlighting his experience. Yeah. I've read Abduction. I would highly recommend that book to people. John's just an extremely interesting character, truly curious, right? So many people, they become comfortable once they become like accredited and tenured, and they kind of they lose that curiosity, that imagination, and they just generally they don't have that courage, that fire in them. But John did right up into the day he died. And what I was going to get into here at some point was some of the stuff he was getting into right before he died, which was based off a post I saw here, which I just don't know. Anyway, I'm going to read through this. This is Ralph Blumenthal. So Ralph Blumenthal is a New York Times journalist who was one of the guys involved in breaking the big story in 2017 with Leslie Keane. And that definitely shifted people's perception of this whole phenomena, because there were some classified videos leaked, from the military that, I think woke people up. Honestly. So I've read Jacob's book, I think, called Secret Light, but not read Max yet. Yes, it's very good, fan. Yeah, it was many years ago I read it now. Oh my God. More than 10 years ago. But I should reread it. I'll have to rebuy it. I don't know where the fuck it went. I've lost half my books through moving multiple times. I thought I would read through this. Lamb and John Mack were scheduled to deliver a paper on reptilians. Ralph Blumenthal. John Mack, Reptilians in Death. One woman worked for the DEA and was abducted while out on a snowmobile during the day. Some thought the beings were robots. There were different races reported, including reptilians. So, newer version of my 2022 thread on Blumenthal Mack and the paper Mack wrote on reptilians. Many will like this. And thank you, Joe, for posting this. It's wonderful. Blumenthal talks about a book he's written with his wife about UFOs that's geared towards children. I wonder how Semi Van will feel about that. They're fucking with us. I have a contact who would really not like that book. Blumenthal is spending his time going through the story of John Mack and his work on abduction phenomena. Mack tried LSD, ayahuasca, and also holotropic breathing, taught by Stanislav Grof, where he seemed to have a possible past life memory. Grof introduced Mack to UFOs and abductions. I should say this is interesting, so this is just a slight aside. And like, I haven't, Ron, welcome. I've been good. How are you? I haven't had like any crazy experiences. Really. I had a dream when I was a kid, and that's pretty much it. But I was fucking around, not with holotropic breathing, but hypoxic, I guess is what it's called, which is where it's a form of, it's like a stress relief. It's a Wim Hof is one of the guys who kind of brought it to the West. Like Tibetan monks will do it. But you do very rapid inhalations and exhalations. So you go, well, you take a completely full breath, which we typically don't do a lot ever anymore, right? Unless we're exercising very vigorously. And then you exhale it, and you do that, I don't know, 20 to 30 times, and then you exhale all the air, and you just kind of let your body, you give a break. You let your body kind of sit and simmer, and you almost kind of buzz is what it feels like. You have to be careful doing it. Like, don't push it too hard, like fucking blow blood vessel in your eyeball or something. But it's very, very, and you just faint. It's very potent stuff. It's a very potent stress reliever. It's the most potent form of stress release I've ever tried. I'd highly recommend people try Wim Hof's breathing on YouTube. He has a beginner one and just a regular one where he takes you through a couple cycles of this. But there was one time when I did it, and I felt like through a back injury, I have like a lot of tension kind of like under my ribs, like in my diaphragm. And I did have a weird kind of like vision, and I don't really know what to make of it, but someone was like pressing into my ribs. It was really trippy. So just to kind of highlight that, I don't know who, but anyway, like had almost like a bit of a hallucination, I guess, through doing it, which was very strange. So anyway, if you guys want to fucking hallucinate and you don't want to do drugs, just do some deep breathing and then afterwards close your eyes and just see if you have anything crazy happen. Who fucking knows, right? Might dig up some memories. Vinyasa. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, actually, Digi. It's very similar, where you focus on deep consecutive breaths. It's a bit more aggressive than Vinyasa. Probably Vinyasa would be a better thing to start with. It's like only 5 to 10 minutes long, but it's really potent stuff. Wim Hof learned it actually from fuck these ads, man. Wim Hof learned it from Tibetan monks. These monks in their spare time, they would do these night shifts where they would do this like night watch up in the mountains or whatever. And to pass time, what they would do is they would get a bunch of wet blankets, put the blankets over themselves, and they would do this breathing, and it like jacks your heart rate up and also your body temperature. And they would see who could dry the most blankets in a night from doing this shit. It's just like a meme they would do. But here in the West, where, you know, we're all hunched over on our fucking phones and we're all eating shitty fucking food and we're not breathing, like no one's really exercising or running, like, you know, everybody's doing this like little shallow fucking breaths all day. Like we're not like really breathing, and like that has a huge effect on our mental health. And when you think about it, and there was a guy, he was on Joe Rogan's podcast. He is a professional surfer. Anyway, he's a big advocate of this stuff too. And when you think about it, like oxygen is a huge part of our daily being, and your oxygen intake plays a huge role in your like health, but also like your overall, all functioning in your body really, but like your perception and stuff too, massively would affect your mental health, performance-wise too. Like in MMA, the guy who wins is usually the guy that can breathe better, right? Who's in better shape, right? So also guy who's technically better, but like it's a component of that in the end with endurance. So it's one of those weird things we don't consider a lot, but that breathing and breathing better is really important. Anyway, that's where Wim got it from. A bit of an aside, but I highly recommend if people haven't tried start with Wim stuff. And Vinyasa yoga is great too. I've got to go back and do more yoga. But just as a stress reliever, it's extremely potent. And people say that you can get in. I could see how if you were someone who does like meditating and shit, how that would be a good way to start it off, because like it instantly just gets rid of like all the stress in your body. Like I have never tried anything like that. Nothing pharmacological has done that for me. Like it's insane. It doesn't last forever, so obviously like don't get off your SRIs or whatever you're on you might need, but like definitely give it a try. Anyway, I'll continue down this road here. Interesting though that he did that he tried that. Mac turned down a chance to meet Bud Hopkins, but later synchronistically came across Hopkins again, and they met in December 1990. Hopkins gave Mac some letters from experiencers, and Mac decided to meet these folks and work with them. They were not mentally ill, deranged, or publicity seekers. It was so authentic that he couldn't believe they were making it up. The stories were surprisingly consistent and came from experiencers who were as young as 3 years old. Not all the events happened at night. One woman worked for the U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency and was abducted while out on a snowmobile during the day. He also worked with women who claimed they were made pregnant, had the babies taken, and then allowed to meet those children. That's extremely common, by the way. Some thought the beings were robots. There were different races reported, including reptilians. The experiences were terrifying for many, but also transformative and had a positive effect on the lives of some abductees. Mac's efforts to publish in peer-reviewed journals were rebuffed, so he wrote books. He met with the Dalai Lama, tongue sucker, that fucking creep, who was interested in the abduction phenomenon. In 1994 and 1995, Mac hosted a conference at MIT on abductions. Lots of scientists attended, and they discussed what they learned on abductions and shared notes. Mac thought these things must have happened on some level in Harvard, where he taught, was worried, so they tried to remove him. Yeah, we've watched videos on here in the past about the idiots from Harvard that people in his own department that wanted him out because this was far too audacious to talk about. Mac hired a lawyer who didn't work out, and then he hired a team that included Sheehan. One mistake Mac realized later was seeing abductions as singular when they were actually part of other mysterious anomalies like cattle mutilations, ghosts, crop circles, which he investigated, ancient UFO sightings, fairies, near-death experiences, reincarnation, etc. It is all connected as well, and it's an important thing, I think, to remember. People are new to this kind of stuff, that all that woo ends up kind of intertwining into like one phenomena, really. But anyway, Mac worked with a gifted scientist, Elizabeth Targ, Russell Targ's daughter, who was involved with the SRI, their remote viewing at the Monroe Institute, who had special intuitive powers. She was investigating brain tumors in her patients and wound up dying of the same brain tumor she was investigating. I didn't know that. After she died, she somehow seemed able to communicate with her husband and family from beyond. Mac was working on a book about her when he was killed. I didn't know that his daughter died of a brain tumor. That's interesting. Blumenthal had access to all of the police files and came away convinced that Mac's death was a tragic accident. And that's something that people had tried to say, that he was assassinated. People will get into this here in a second why. Barbara Lamb, abduction researcher therapist, accompanied Mac on a visit to crop circles. Blumenthal mentions Lamb and reptilians. She allegedly had a close encounter in her home with a reptilian, and work Mac and Lamb were doing together on reptilians. But Mac died before that work was completed. Mac allegedly helped her from beyond the grave with that. Again, I'll pull the video of that story, Reptilians, in the last story, and tweet it when the videos are available. Death is not what we think it is. Now, you know, when you hear this stuff, I should say this, because I do unfortunately have some experience with kinds of woo-woo stuff like this. Even me, who've had some experiences with, you know, people from the dead, I hear that and I'm like, oh, fucking Jesus Christ. I do. Oh, isn't it really? I'm not super familiar with it, actually, Finn. I think I have run into it. I'd have to read it again. But you know, it's one of those things that it's all connected here. All this stuff. This idea, effectively, that I've said this before, but the TLDR on a lot of the abduction stuff, when you dig into accounts of people actually having conversations or engaged in philosophical conversation with the visitors in these accounts, and there are examples of this, that they get very spiritual very quickly, and the conversation goes to like, well, effectively, this is kind of, you know, reading between the lines a little bit, but you're living in a simulation. Your consciousness, this body, there's one experience you're going to have, like, and that's the way they look at it, essentially. There's some variance there, but generally, I think that's kind of what you run into with this stuff a lot. Oh, does she? Oh, that'd be something to watch, actually. Anyway, okay, a year later, and I'm including the video clip, sorry for the sound issues, and here's the partial transcript. Blumenthal. I tell the story of Barbara Lamb, who's a well-known psychotherapist and experiencer who had accompanied Mac on his visit to the crop circles. She was on the trip, and later, after Mac's death, Lamb was visiting her daughter in California, and with an allergy to her daughter's cat, she had an asthma attack that left her struggling to breathe. She thought she was suffocating, choking to death. And then she saw an image of Mac, and he was saying, "Don't worry, Barbara, you'll be okay." And she felt a healing ball of light enter her chest, and she suddenly could breathe. Now, Lamb, who had intrigued me with a story of meeting a reptilian in her living room one day, and she had a very pleasant encounter, by the way, also told me that she and John were scheduled to deliver a paper at the Lachlan UFO conference on reptilians, and his death cut that short, and she didn't know what to do, whether she should still appear at the conference. And John came to her in a dream. She told me and said, by all means, she should still deliver his paper at the conference, and he told her where to find the paper. It was at home on a certain bookshelf, the bookshelf nearest this other room, sticking out of certain papers, and that Barbara should call Karen Austin, who was Mac's assistant at the time, and describe just what John said where the papers were. So Barbara Lamb did that. Karen located the papers. She delivered them to Barbara. Barbara delivered them at the conference and credited Mac with a support on reptilians. It was not what we thought. Alleged message from a dead John Mac via a medium. What is it? Death, UFOs. So you can hear clean audio and the rest of what Blumenthal said. Great lecture. Interesting, yeah. It was not what we thought. Now, how much stock do I put in mediums? Not a fucking lot, sorry. Not a lot. I've had my experiences with mediums. Again, when you're into woo shit, you're going to run into stuff that's going to stop you to track sometimes. And I had a run-in with one medium where I've told this on the stream here before, but I definitely encountered something very strange. She could do something. There was something that she was able to tap into, something I can't quite explain. I'm not going to get into it here again right now, but definitely something going on there. Don't think the ability was honed completely, but there's definitely something to what was going on. Absolutely. And it's kind of, that would have been in 2016 maybe? 2016 going on 2017 possibly. And that's around the time when I started really digging into remote viewing more, because I hadn't really taken it very seriously up until that point. But after that experience, I definitely started thinking, well, okay, that was the thing. Something happened there. I can't explain. There must be something to this. And then I looked into Russell Targan, Halpedoff's work, and said, I'd run into it before, but I started to kind of look at it a bit of a different light and say, okay, well, there's something here. Like, it's in its infancy. Definitely. But there's something going on with this. And that's, again, just my own anecdote and my own personal experience of what had happened. I guess I will just reiterate it, but I lost someone very close to me, and I had went there just to see, right? Because I had heard through the grapevine of woo people, friends of mine, people I had known, had went to this person, and that during the meeting, there was a part where she started literally channeling this person, and it wasn't like literally their voice, but it was like like in my voice, like certain words I say will be like slurred somewhat, like it goes with the teeth in your mouth, and like syntax and how I speak and everything. If someone were to mimic me perfectly for people that I know, they'd be like, oh, that's Jim. Like it's like that, right? It's like someone doing Trump's voice, right? Like, even though their voice isn't quite the same as him, like the pitch, the way they're speaking is identical to how he spoke. And that happened to me with my friend, but it was coming through this woman. And the person was extremely emotional as well, because unfortunately they died under quite tragic circumstances. So it was an impossible thing. And again, it's unfortunate, because objectively it'd be great to like prove this, but it was a subjective thing for just me. But I know what I heard and saw, and I know that's impossible, that she had no connection to this person whatsoever, didn't know who I was even talking about, because I didn't tell her anything about this person at all. I didn't even tell them really about the circumstances of this, and they still knew that, which is impossible. It implies to me clearly there was some kind of a connection made there, which just is a bit of an earth-shattering thing, really, to run up against, if you're willing to face it honestly. So then, who knows? Who knows the shit? But I'll play this clip, aside here with Ralph. I'm curious as to what he said here.
On to some other things at the end of the book that I didn't want to put in the main body of the book, but I thought were really interesting. I tell the story of Barbara Lamb, who was a well-known psychotherapist and experiencer who had accompanied Mac on his visit to the crop circles. She was on the trip. And later, after Mac's death, Lamb was visiting her daughter in California, and with an allergy to her daughter's cat, she had an asthma attack that left her struggling to breathe. She thought she was suffocating, choking to death. And then she saw an image of Mac, and he was saying, "Don't worry, Barbara, you'll be okay." And she felt a healing ball of light enter her chest.
Struggling
and she
here.
suddenly could breathe. Now, Lamb, who had intrigued me with a story of meeting a reptilian in her living room one day, and she had a very pleasant encounter, by the way, also told me that she and John were scheduled to deliver a paper at the Laughlin UFO conference on reptilians.
This is what I just read
and
here.
his
We'll
death
skip ahead.
cut that short. Come on, let's talk. Then they were in a restaurant, and Mac was sitting next to her on the banquette, and she turned to him and said, this report on reptilians. Another friend from the crop circle trip, Sean Randall, told me she dreamed that Mac walked out of a crowd and said, "Come on, let's talk." Then they were in a restaurant, and Mac was sitting next to her on the banquette, and she turned to him and said, "You know you're dead." And he said, "Yeah, of course." And as she told the story, Mac was wearing a short-sleeve shirt, which he liked. He's kind of dorky in his dress. And she was wearing a blouse with no sleeves, and their bare arms touched, and she felt tremendous heat coming off his body. And she turned to him crying, "John, you're burning me." And he said, "Yeah, that's so you'll know I'm real." Anyway, I end my book with yet another strange story. Mac's a longtime collaborator and social worker, Roberta Colasanti, was doing a reading with a medium. The medium was Will Manet, who had developed psychic...
X is struggling this evening with the video. Come now. Oh, come on. That's the fucking part we want to hear, for Christ's sake. Just a second. Try and reboot it. Oh, you motherfucker. Hold on.
It appeared.
Just a minute.
But then...
Hold on. Oh, shit.
City seekers, they were not... he never got it published. But I had access to it. Nobody ever came out with a story of what this Inquisition actually was. Harvard never issued a full report.
Hold on.
It appeared. But then I go on to some other things at the end. Icke embarked on Joseph Campbell's mythic journey, hero's journey, a call to adventure that Mac tries to evade at first, like all heroes. A summons that tests his resolve, dangerous adventures, and the final triumph of returning with a boon for mankind, which is this knowledge. I was feverishly working on the book when I somehow triggered a process to restart his heart. I don't know. But anyway, he survived. And he survived with supernatural powers, as he described it. He wrote a book about it. And so he was sitting with Roberta Colasanti, the medium, and at one point he started laughing, and he said to Roberta, "Come on, Roberta, don't you know John is sitting here with us? And he has a message for you." And he said, "The message is, it was not what we thought." So Colasanti was stunned. I mean, what was not what they thought?
Oh, yeah.
But, UFOs, aliens, but it wasn't the kind of setup where she could ask him questions. That was all there was to the message.
Now, what kind of person does that? Like, what level of cock tease is that, really? To fucking die and then go back to your partner in crime on this and say it wasn't what we thought. That would haunt that person for the rest of their fucking life. That's such an evil thing to do, John Mack, if you actually did that from the grave. It wasn't what we thought. It's like, whoa, like, what does that mean? What is it? The reptilians or what? Like, yeah, interesting. Anyway, onwards and upwards. Oh, this is interesting here. I've had a chance to look into this. I just saw this while perusing old UFO Twitter. Scientists have identified a new lineage of archaic human through fossils uncovered in Israel and dated to at least 120,000 years ago. These hominins had fully mastered technology that until only recently was linked to either Homo sapiens or Neanderthals. Trolling from the afterlife. Torturing her from the afterlife. Fossils of a Middle Pleistocene Homo within a well-defined archaeological context at the open-air site of Nesher Ramla, Israel, shed light on MP Homo culture and behavior. Okay. Radiometric ages, along with cultural and stratigraphic considerations, suggests that fossils are 140,000 to 120,000 years old, chronologically overlapping with Homo sapiens in Western Asia. Lithic analysis reveals that MP Homo mastered stone tool production technologies previously known only among Homo sapiens and Neanderthals. The Lavalos napping methods they used are indistinguishable from that of concurrent Homo sapiens in Western Asia. The most parsimonious explanation for such a close similarity is the cultural interactions between those two populations. These findings constitute evidence of contact and interactions between Homo sapiens and MP Homo. Interesting. What did they look like? Were they fucking 8 feet tall and jacked? Probably not. Okay, now. Reveals a complex intermingling of Eurasian and African hominins 140,000 years ago, altering perceptions of Neanderthal origins. Interesting. Mysterious hominin lineage from the Levant. Interesting. No one's dug into the giant meme yet. That one's coming down the pipelines. We're going to get ready for that one. You know who I should fucking message to see if they want to come on and have a chat? Who I would love to fucking have a chat with is Hugh Newman. Where is this Hugh here? Fuck, that's not him. Hugh Newman. Is he not on Twitter, for Christ's sake? Anyway, Hugh's been on Ancient Aliens. Hugh's an author, and he did some really great digging about the giant skeletons and myths and legends of giants from all over the world. He did a great book, and I meant to order the fucking book. I had seen snippets of it in some of the research. In some interviews he did going over some of the more interesting cases, and really fucking interesting shit. So I should track him down and see, because that would be great, because I pulled it up here a couple times as someone who's an amateur in interpreting this shit. These Mesopotamian cylinder seals. Most definitely these people are depicted all throughout this culture. And again, kind of the scholarly interpretation of these is that it is just this music's like too epic. I'll turn this down a little bit. That it's just fantastical artistic depiction of the gods, because the gods would be big and strong as opposed to the little humans, and so it makes sense that they make them bigger. But it's like way too specific. Like when you see what the Greeks did, right? That makes sense. You see, like, the Titans are the size of mountains, and Zeus is like, at one point, Zeus is like fucking 30 feet tall, then he's 20 feet tall, then he's like 9 feet tall, but the depictions of these people are consistently always the fucking same height. Almost always. They're almost always like what looks like 8 feet tall. And then you find remnants of people around that height all over the world whose remains have a bit of a mystery around them because their remains kind of disappeared. And why is that? Was it because, these religious people 150 years ago were scared of this and they destroyed them, right? That's very possible. They ended up supposedly in the Smithsonian, and the Smithsonian, we know, probably had some, very enlightened types contributing to it that maybe were kind of aware of this mystery and started collecting these remains and pulling them out of kind of the eye of the general public. Don't know. But we know for a fact that these remains around this height were found all over the eastern U.S. in Native American burial mounds, which weren't actually Native American burial mounds, right? They were burial mounds from these people, which were this lost group of people that we've yet to really properly contend with. And coincidentally, then people of around this stature are depicted all over Mesopotamia. Big coincidence, again, that we need to dig further into. Anyway, interesting when I see this shit, because it's something that I think we've missed and is yet to be properly dug into. But at some point we might stumble upon, when geneticists finally stumble upon remains or stumble upon something in someone's genome and be like, oh, that's fucked. What's that doing there? And they'll be like, oh, fuck. It was more than just Neanderthals and Homo sapiens and MP homos, as they're calling them. That's not my fucking terminology for them. But we'd also have the fucking Anunnaki in there. Toss them in there. The big boys. Toss them on top of the pile. Oh, this is a bit of an aside. I'll just quickly go over this. I thought this was kind of interesting. I'm not an expert on the whole fucking 9/11 meme. Definitely interesting. Definitely more to that story, I think, than meets the eye. But this was kind of an interesting one I wasn't really aware of. Now, for me personally, when I look at this, it looks like just a reflection to me. But this guy, Captain Dan Hanley, these 4 photographs below independently taken by 4 photographers of alleged United Flight 174 moments prior to impact of the South Tower 9/11. There was a long cylindrical pod clearly visible on the bottom of the fuselage in each photo. These 4 photos were carefully analyzed by photographic experts in Spain who claimed that the photos were not photoshopped as the photos were too grainy. They confirmed the pod was present on the aircraft. So he flew this aircraft and can attest the underbelly is mainly smooth. I just thought this was kind of interesting. Looking at it though, personally, this was trending on kind of Twitter. It just looks like a reflection to me. I don't know if it necessarily looks like there's like a pod. You can kind of see here, this line here. I think it just looks like a reflection, like the light potentially. Many different conspiracies. People go to the point of saying that this was a holograph and it didn't actually slam into the tower. I think everybody around the tower can probably attest to the fact that it was absolutely not a fucking hologram and it literally slammed into the tower. The more interesting sides of the conspiracy are that there were charges in Building 7 and potentially charges in the Twin Towers as well, nanothermite that was used. Supposedly they found remnants of in the rubble. Because the Tower 7 was definitely, there was something going on there more than meets the eye, I think. But anyway, ongoing conspiracy, this one. So very, very interesting. Yeah. Anyway, moving on from that. Oh, yes. This is kind of cool. A drone's view of an ancient site known as Quinanani in Peru that features what looks like massive precision cuts. Very cool. I mean, just looking at that from up above is even more trippy, right? Like, just seeing that, like, is just so fucking incredible. Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry, guys. It was blocking. I left the fucking thing up. That's my bad. God damn it, I forgot the fucking cylinder seal still up there. Yeah, I guess I already closed the 9/11 plane. Oops. I gotta stop. I gotta just ban myself from putting cylinder seals up. It's fucking obfuscating everything. This though is this there. Then we can see this now. This looks fucking amazing. All these sites in Peru, man. Like here's another post here detailing some of these. Like just so, there's the rest of the site. Just so majestic, man. Like, very, very epic. Very cool. There is a 3D rendering of it, actually. Faces. Some other pictures as well. Carved into the rock. So cool, man. Wow. Interesting. Very, very interesting. Very, very, very interesting. Am I ready to talk about this now? Or am I ready to watch this video? Probably not. I wanted to go over this just because it's a fucking meme. Can I shut the subtitles off? No, of course I can't. What is this language on here? I don't even know. It's in a completely other language. I have no idea what this language is. This is David Icke meeting with Credo Mutswa is his name. And Credo, or Mutwa, sorry. Mutwa, I would say Mutswa. Mutwa. And he's a South African shaman. And David Icke ran into him because David was getting on board the reptilian train. And Credo was all for that because there were many stories of people in his village interacting with these beings. And anyway, it's a longer interview. There's like an hour-long special, so I'm unsure exactly what part this is pulled from, but I suspect probably it's the part that I'm looking for because it's like the meme. So. Yup. Yup.
Hello, and welcome to Africa, this enormous and astonishing continent. South Africa, to be more precise, just a short drive outside Johannesburg. And I'm here to talk to a remarkable man, Credo Mutwa. When I first came to South Africa about 18 months ago, within 2 or 3 days, I was introduced to Credo Mutwa. I'd never heard of him at the time, but from the moment I met him, I didn't stop listening and he didn't stop talking for at least 5 hours. And within the first few minutes, I realized I wasn't just in the presence here of a man of great knowledge.
It's on another level, huh?
I was in the presence of a genius, a unique human being. And Credo Mutwa is without doubt the most incredible man it has been my honor to meet. Credo is what some people around the world call a shaman, and some deeply, deeply ignorant people call a witch doctor. And to give him his official title, he's a Sanusi in the Zulu nation. Sanusi is the carrier, the keeper of the ancient knowledge of so much, including the ancient knowledge of history of Africa.
Dude, this is an OG video, man.
What the truth of history is, instead of the largely nonsensical version of history that we get through the universities and the schools from very, very well-educated professors who know.
Nonsensical.
There are only two.
The audacity. The nonsensical version of history. Where we're going with this, I mean, David, we don't know.
South Africa, Credo is one. And that's terrifying because it means the true version of the history of this continent is dying. It's being lost to this official nonsense that we're told is history, but is absolute garbage. History has been rewritten, and the people who can put that history together again are going out of this world as they age and are not replaced. So you're about to have, as I have, the enormous privilege of hearing this man talk and seeing his knowledge preserved for as long as the electronic medium exists. He is the official storyteller and keeper of the history, the knowledge of the Zulu people. But you know, knowledge is a very dangerous thing when you're trying to hold people down into a mind prison. You're trying to manipulate them. You're trying to control them. And so people like Credo Mutwa, who have the knowledge to rewrite history and therefore rewrite the present, they are very dangerous people to those that wish to control and suppress. This man has had endless threats to his life, endless attempts on his life, right up to the last few days. And he has upset the hierarchy of his own people as much as he's upset those others in other cultures and other races that wish also to suppress the truth for reasons of preserving their own religious domination or keeping people in ignorance. And so I've come here to talk to Credo at length about many things. And this is a series of unique videos with a unique man. And what we're going to start out with is to concentrate on a bizarre story. An off-the-wall story, you would think, but one which he is confirming at every turn from his own background, his own unique knowledge of this continent. Over the last few years, as I've been trying to uncover how the world's controlled by a few people, which it is, and who those people are, it has emerged from my research that, bizarre as it may seem, a reptilian race from another world, interbred with humanity in the far ancient world, creating hybrid crossbreed bloodlines. You see references to these in the Old Testament and into endless of the ancient texts. In the Old Testament, he talks about the sons of God, which in the original is...
Endless references to this in the Old Testament and other ancient texts in the Old Testament. Just the Old Testament, the Nephilim. It's like, okay, it's like, fuck,
sons
man.
of the gods, plural, interbreeding with the daughters of men to create the hybrid race, the Nephilim. These gods were the literal gods of the ancient people. And they used to sacrifice people literally to the gods.
Yep.
And these crossbreed bloodlines, as ancient accounts tell around the world, were put into the positions of ruling royal power in the ancient world. And then, as is happening today, when you do the genealogy of the ruling families and the ruling positions of power in the world, be they the 42 presidents of the United States up to Bill Clinton, be they the British royal family, be the aristocracy of Europe, any of these key ruling elites, the top of the banking system, the top of the global business system, you hit the family lines which go back to these same ruling lines of the ancient world, royal lines, that the ancient accounts say were the crossbreeds between humanity and these reptilian...
The blue bloods.
In other words, a reptilian extraterrestrial race has been controlling...
David took the blue blood meme and then took it fucking literally. And he was like, no, like, they're fucking cold-blooded, literally. It was like, there are people who refer to themselves as the blue bloods and that they're differentiated from normal people and that they have these, like, bloodlines that go back into ancient history, into antiquity from these, like, famous ruling elites. But I mean, again, taking the blue blood thing literally.
Planet Earth for thousands of years to this day and putting its genetic compatible bloodlines into the positions of power as presidents, prime ministers, banking leaders, business leaders, etc. And this explains so many things. Where we get the divine right of kings from, the divine right to rule because of the bloodline.
Yeah, it is interesting. Yeah.
Why these ruling families of the aristocracy and the royal families have always incessantly interbred with each other, just as the Eastern establishment families of the United States do, that produce so many presidents and banking leaders and administrators of government in the United States. And astonishingly, bizarre as I keep saying, and seemingly ridiculous as this story may be from our conditioned perspective of life and reality, when I started talking to Credo Mutwa, from his African experience and knowledge of the most staggering depths and variety, he tells exactly the same story that I have uncovered around the world, exactly in great detail. And if Africa and the world is ever going to be free, and we are, then they have to listen to this man, and they have to listen now. I started out by talking to Credo about the origin of the knowledge that he is about to share with us for the first time in so many cases. Because this is the knowledge that only initiates normally get. But as Credo says, the world needs to know this. And so, this is a unique video, and this is a unique man. And like I say, I asked him first about the origin of the knowledge that he's about to pass on.
Fuck.
When the white man started destroying our religion, when he started demonizing our gods, when he started ridiculing what we believed in and actually using...
Man, Credo's fucking prescription is like full on like Bubbles from Trailer Park Boys here. Like, I forgot, like, holy Christ.
To destroy that ancient African religion. In many parts of Africa, say, our ancient religion went underground. And there were, call them secret societies, all over South Africa and Central Africa and East Africa and West Africa, where this knowledge was stored and kept by aging guardians, many of whom did not know that in other parts of the land there were other guardians who were doing exactly as they were doing. Now, when I first became a Sangoma, I was already, say, a person of education. I had entered school as a child of 14 years. And when I became a Sangoma, I was a youth of 16 years. And what my aunt and my grandfather, as well as my maternal grandmother, taught me, shook me to the core of my soul. I found that the mission schools had been teaching me lies about my people all along. Missionaries had told us as children that the only light came to Africa with white people. Thus, before the white men came,
that's a theme all over the world you run into in all these other native cultures. People came over here, they're like, no, like, you're wrong. We're right, you're wrong. That is the thing that happened. The Native Americans too, same deal. Like that, I can't even listen to stories of what happened in North America because my blood just fucking boils. I try to just avoid them.
No idea about God. We had no belief in a life after death, and that our people were just a race of savages who used to lie around in the sun, womanize, fight, and drink beer every day. I was suddenly awakened to the fact that Africans had in fact been far greater intellectually than the missionaries were willing to give them credit for. That, like the white man, we had astrology, astronomy, we had surgery. In fact, I found that Zulu surgeons in the early years of the 19th century and the 18th century and even beyond could perform operations which white surgeons were not capable of operating. And the more I learned about my people, sir, the more I wanted to learn. And when my initiation under my aunt Mina and my grandfather Zigo had ended, I wanted to know more and more and more. And sometimes I had to pay a ghastly price in order to gain this knowledge. In one place, here in the northwestern Transvaal, my teachers found that I was really uncircumcised. And they told me bluntly that if I wanted to be a member of this secret society, I had to undergo circumcision. And I did, and it was screamingly painful, I assure you.
I don't remember this part.
Because it was done with a clasp knife, which somebody must have blunted a little bit, just to make sure that I got the message.
Well, I had the same done, but I was asleep at the time, so we have that.
Holy Christ, boys! Is that the guy who did it on the wall?
In Southern Africa, if you wanted to learn the secrets of a certain secret society, you had to do dreadful things which I cannot repeat here. And at one time, in Barotse land, in the west of what is today Zambia, my teacher said, look, how far are you willing to go in order to become one of us? I said, I am willing to go anywhere. He looked at me and he said, listen, educated man, we are tired of people like you. White men come amongst us to milk our minds and then to kill us. We want to be sure that we can trust you. And wait, sir. I said, great one, I am willing to do anything. He said, are you? I said, yes. And then they went into a graveyard, and from there they removed the hand of a corpse, dead 2 days, and they brought it and they challenged me to cook it and eat it. I did so.
What the fuck?
And these were the people who first told me about a race of highly intelligent beings which they called the Chitauri.
Okay, so hold fire. All right. So these fucking boys told this guy to go cut off some poor guy's fucking hand, cook it up, and eat it. Now, what other things are these guys doing now? Like some drugs, maybe? Like, are they doing some fucking drugs out there? Like, you know, what? Like, okay.
A race of creatures which look like reptiles, who have ruled the world for hundreds, if not thousands of years. Through this dreadful act, I was able to gain knowledge which was denied to even the highest Sangomas, because they would not go through the ritual I went through. This is how secret knowledge is protected in Africa. So, and at one time, let me tell you another thing.
So I'll see if the other part's on here. This is where David began to get into the ritual sacrifice of people, potentially, that the elites are engaged in. Yeah, I don't think there's a second part to it, unfortunately. There was a whole video on YouTube years ago, I think that Finn's also familiar with. It was very long. The entire thing was like a couple hours of conversation or something ridiculous. But that specific conversation on that, I think, was like 30 or 40 minutes maybe. But yeah, just an interesting little tidbit from that guy. I forgot about the whole thing, like that he had to eat the hand and stuff. Holy fuck, man. That's just Jesus Christ. Interesting though. Interesting. And this is, with the whole reptilian thing now, David's got himself into trouble because I don't know, I think he's made some connections, maybe some like anti-Semitic connections. I have in the past though seen people in the mainstream. So David came to Vancouver for a talk years ago. Like we're talking like fucking 12 years ago or something, right? So like I was 21. And I remember it was his CTV maybe, or maybe in the CBC, but their outlet in Vancouver interviewed him, and they did something really tricky with him. And I think I'm recalling the story correctly, but it was 100% in Canada. I'm pretty sure it was in Vancouver. And what they did was they invited David on for an interview to speak about like the talk he was going to have, but they secretly also invited on like a local psychologist. And the interview was going to be to like psychoanalyze David and be like, why is he so crazy? And an interesting confusion that occurred was that they thought all references to reptilians were a covert reference to Jewish people, that this was some secret anti-Semitic dig. And like, as someone who's read his work, like it genuinely isn't. He's literally talking about another race of people, like ETs. Like these people couldn't grasp that, though. They thought he had to be talking about Jewish people, and for people that were on board with David's conspiracy, they were like, "Holy fuck, he's right!" Like, they're trying to like throw the anti-Semitic card at him now. Like he's close to the money here, right? And I was like, "Oh fuck, this is probably just some giant fucking confusion here, honestly." Anyway, but yeah. Anyway, that's that. So his reptilian thing has been confused a couple times, definitely, by the mainstream, intentionally or unintentionally. But the idea is interesting. I mean, it's honestly like a worst case scenario, really, when you think about it. Like that is the worst possible scenario. That we're not just like ruled over by a bunch of fucking human assholes. We're manipulated and ruled over by alien assholes ultimately. Because then it's like, how hopeless is that fucking situation if that's the case, honestly? Really, honest to Christ. Like, I mean, what are the chances? And there are stories of people, I should say. There are stories from people seeing, like, shape-shifting people. And in between the shift, they look like reptilian-like. I've heard many anecdotes over the years, and many theories as to like who these people would be if this is the case. Maybe they're not aliens, but they were natives to Earth. Maybe me and Galen TV talked about this, but maybe they were like one of the dinosaurs. Because you gotta think like, let's go back 60 million years. We're a fucking shrew on the ground. Like we are a fucking like rat running around on the ground. So 60 million years for us to become, to go from a rat to what we are now, right? Dinosaurs were around for like 260 million years and then died off 65 million years ago. Think about like maybe there was a little bit more of an intelligent dinosaur like 65 million years ago, even maybe sooner, maybe like 100 million years ago, there was a somewhat intelligent dinosaur, like maybe just about the intelligence of a chimp or something, and then pull that scale up. So then you can see maybe potentially lost civilizations on Earth that could possibly, and that there's a remnant of one of these earlier civilizations, and they're few in numbers, and they're like kind of manipulating us from behind the scenes. We're the dominant species here now. That's a theory I've heard. The other one is the alien theory, that they're aliens doing it. The other one is that it's all fucking horse shit, which is kind of what I hope it is. But it's interesting to think about, that's for sure. And again, the accounts of people seeing shape-shifting beings, don't know what to attribute that to. Honestly, again, it's unfortunately kind of like my own experience. It's a subjective thing. It's like, it doesn't help the situation telling them, oh, you probably hallucinated, because I mean, again, in my instance, I guess that's kind of one of the only like woo things I've actually really encountered. I know for sure what I heard. Like, it wasn't misheard. I was not in some delusional headspace. I was very much prepared actually for nothing to happen, honestly. And I was taken off guard, but I was taken off guard because I knew that it wasn't bullshit. I just knew what to look for. I knew that person so well. So similar to these kinds of people's experiences, one of the people, actually, I was a huge Smashing Pumpkins fan growing up as a young musician. I loved Billy Corgan. And he told a story years ago. I remember when I heard it, I was like, oh no. I was like, don't say this. I was like, this is the one thing I don't want to be I don't want this to be true. Desperately, I don't want it to be fucking true. But he talked to Howard Stern about how he saw a woman shapeshift briefly that he knew. Actually, he saw it happen twice. And actually, I shouldn't say it was a woman because I don't know if he said it was a woman. But he saw this person shift twice. And I can't recall if he said they looked reptilian in nature. I feel like he did at some point to somebody. Maybe Joe Rogan had him on his podcast and he asked him this. Maybe because Joe knows all this fucking shit. Maybe he had asked him that. I can't recall though. But anyway, I remember I heard that and I was like, oh fucking Jesus. I was like, not another one, not another person. Well, especially Billy, at least. I was like, oh, I like this guy so much. I was like, it's just, oh, fuck. It'd be so terrible. It'd be so terrible. Maybe that's a dark secret. Maybe that's truly the dark secret that Grush and Co. are hiding, that they're like, oh, yeah, well, they're here and they're walking around. They're shape-shifting people. I just don't buy that, though, personally, I just don't buy that personally, just from looking at other like anecdotal stuff in ufology. Like, it doesn't really make sense. Like, why would so many of these encounters be only like in people's subconscious minds and hidden, obscured, but then you've got other people running around like just shapeshifting? Like, it doesn't really make any sense. It's like there's almost like a rule set and some people are breaking the rules. I don't fucking know. It doesn't make any sense to me. Not that any of it should, honestly. It's pretty common to see women's features shapeshift during sex. I heard a famous philosopher mention it, and I've experienced it myself. I think it's a type of hallucination. Actually? Is this a real thing, Finn? Really? Like, shapeshift them to what? Oh, really? I think it's a type of hallucination. Is it actually? Is that actually a real thing? Or are you fucking trolling? Interesting. Well, that could be, and that's, psychological phenomena, if that's actually a thing. Maybe it's some kind of psychological phenomena that he was subjected to. And, that's perfect. That's it's within reason. Maybe that would explain what happened there. Yeah. Oh my God. Well, there you go. You ascend. You ascend up. Well, that's what the Oracle at Delphi, right? The cult in Greece. It was kind of like they would sit on top of this natural like gas reservoir and they would get high as shit. But they were kind of like a sex cult as well, supposedly. But they were women and they would be kind of inducted into this role where they'd sit over this crevice in the earth and, just cook all the brain cells essentially with these fumes, but it would give them like visions and stuff. And Pythagoras as well also ran a sex cult supposedly, right? His trigonometry and etc., right? Geometry He had a full-blown sex cult going. So like you mentioned before, the monks. Yes, that probably has it, man. Yeah, that makes sense, actually. Yeah, again, I'm not going to say I had a hallucination, because for me, when I think of hallucination, like I think like I'm somewhere else, literally. And I've had a couple of those with like, you know, substances, but, you know, it's that could very well be the case. I've heard people who have done hypoxic breathing, and I forget what the other one was called. Hypertrophic, I think, is the other one, where you do, and people who do, as did you mention earlier, vinyasa yoga, the yogis would do that to get themselves into trance. And it would induce into trance, and that would kind of get them into it. And that could be what happened to me too, where I was like almost falling asleep, actually, potentially. Like I was like literally maybe passing out. So that could be it, where you start hallucinating. People who, altitude sickness, that can happen as well. So yeah, maybe that's a thing. So yeah, that could be it as well. Billy Corgan had swore he wasn't taking any drugs at the time either. He swore that it was like 100% something that happened on 2 occasions, but then again, he didn't really. I think he did stipulate that they were in the bedroom, so then that could actually be it. Finn, that's kind of interesting. I didn't know it was actually a thing that could happen, but then again, when you think about these things, that maybe that would actually be a thing that would happen. That you would through very deep breathing and all your adrenaline going on max, you know, that you would potentially have some kind of an experience like that. I fucking hope that's what it is, because I desperately don't want this to be reptilians from Alpha Draconis pulling fucking strings at of all these globalist elite and getting them to like sacrifice people and stuff and eat their hands and eat their bodies and shit. Like that shit's fucked up. So fuck that, you know. But yeah, fuck. Anyway, yeah, I think that's probably enough for tonight. Anyway, Jesus Christ, I still got to digest the whole fucking Credo thing. That's just so fucked. Yeah, it never happened during normal experiences. Who knows though? Who know? We don't know for sure. That's the thing. Maybe she was. Maybe she wasn't. Probably not. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. Anyway, thank you everybody for coming around and hanging out this evening. Thank you, Finn, Rabbit, everybody. Digi. I'll be back on probably tomorrow night. So anyway, I'll see what's going on. Me, welcome as well. Yeah. Okay, guys, take care now. We'll probably talk to you tomorrow. Peace.